Good evening. I want to first thank you for this opportunity that I have to talk about a subject that I believe isn't talked about near enough in any church, and especially in the Church of Christ. It is a subject so vital to the church and so targeted by Satan that I guess we assume we know all about it by the time we're 20 years old. Now, I also want to preface my lesson with I don't know anyone's personal situation in this foundation whatsoever. But what I will share with you this evening does not imply that I do, nor am I making assumptions about you in your time outside of being here. But from personal experience, great pain, great sorrow, and redemption, I want to share this lesson with you because I feel convicted. I love you too much not to share it with you. Did not make a difference, small or big, or not make you think deeper about yourself and your own sin. I want to talk this evening about marriage, and real marriage, new marriage, same spouse. And I'll get to that context later. At the beginning of time, after creation in Genesis 2, we read of a wedding of Adam and Eve, and it quickly moves to a war. How many of you have had that experience? The story of Genesis is that our first parents are married, and immediately Satan, the enemy of God, shows up and he moves his war from heaven to earth, from assaulting God and the angels to assaulting a husband and a wife. And the truth is that marriage is in the context of war. A spiritual battle rages between the enemy of God and his people and God and his people. And for those of us who are Christians, your marriages are on the front line of that battle. And the closer you move towards serving God, and I think even for ministers, I think it even intensifies because Satan absolutely hates God. He hates God's people, and particularly hates marriage, Christian marriage, because Christian marriages are the torture of the gospel. So, again, we know that Satan doesn't like anybody associated with God and Christ, and especially marriage. We read in Ephesians 5 from Paul that husbands should love their wives as Christ loves the church. And so he's saying that a husband and wife in loving union, communion, and covenant are kind of like the relationship that Jesus has with his church. And that is, Jesus leads the church lovingly and humbly and sacrificially, so men are to lovingly, humbly, sacrificially lead their families. And as wives are supposed to respect their husbands, they're showing something of the respect that the church has, or at least should have, for the Lord Jesus Christ as the head of the church. So we, again, bring up that Satan does attack marriage, because marriage is an illustration of the gospel. Furthermore, if Satan can destroy a Christian marriage, especially one of a great servant, or those couples that are seeking to honor and serve God with their talents, then he knows he can affect generations. He can have their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, all in one fell swoop. And that's what he does. Some of you here have or may have personal pain and testimony about your families being part of that great battle. And maybe it was your marriage, or your parents' marriage, or your grandparents' marriage, marriage, or friends that sadly and tragically lost a break up. And Satan was able to gain great victory in the history of your family. It's a very serious matter to be married. And it's a very serious matter also to be married as a Christian. Now I know that from reading the Bible that Satan attacks families. What I find curious is that Satan didn't even show up to attack Adam and Eve until they were married. And for some of us, we have this naive notion that if we just get married, that then our trials and our troubles and temptations will go away. No, then our enemy will come and the battle will in fact intensify. I strongly believe that people need to have practical training in teaching, modeling on marriages. And I have a question for you. I want you to answer it out loud, obviously. How many of you think that other married couples in this congregation have never had a battle for their marriage? Never had any struggles. You might have thought they look perfectly fine to me. Then one day it all shatters and everyone's surprised. And that's what I'm trying to say is I think some people are scared to really tell others what they're going through, especially in their marriages. But you see, only then can you be truly honest about your situation and have someone listen and pray for you, pray over you, help anyone. And from personal experience, you might have to get a counselor involved. I went through over a year of individual counseling. It helped me tremendously in learning and being closer to God and trusting God at a different level than I did before. So one of the pitfalls could be honesty. And if you don't build a relationship on spiritual intimacy, where Christ is the center of a relationship, invariably it's going to be a weak and immature relationship. And it may feel close and intimate and exciting, but that's simply because of the presence of sin. I'm talking about before marriage. And not because of the presence of the Spirit of God is really binding two people together. So if your whole marriage is based on physical attraction, it's going to be a rough ride for a while. Rough time. What we tend to find out in marriage is that we are very different from each other. Besides being a woman and a man, we're different. Once we marry, our backgrounds, our life experiences, our families that molded us, come into play, especially when kids show up. Leaving father and mother. Another thing that often couples do is they fail to leave their father and mother. It says early in Genesis to leave your father and mother as a husband and wife. This means physically leaving, emotionally leaving, financially leaving, spiritually leaving. It literally means just moving on. Because your family, once you're married, is not an extension of your birth family, it's a new family. Are you still related to your family? Yes. Are you supposed to respect your parents? Yes. And this is called strain in a relationship. Some of you have very loving families, but they're so loving that the line between your family and theirs is really blurred. So sometimes it's difficult to establish your own traditions as a family. Some of you may have very dramatic, controlling, busybody, over-involved families, You love them, but only because the Bible says you have to. Right? Your in-laws feel like you're outlaws, and they keep crashing into your life and your schedule and your day off and your home, etc. It took me a long time to learn with my parents on this subject, how to set boundaries. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say we're busy, not a good weekend. It's okay to establish healthy boundaries. What I mean is, I don't evolve around their schedule. They can ask for something, like my time on my kids, but I can say it isn't the best time, and that's okay. Once I learned to really put real boundaries up, the guilt trips in. As parents of children who are married, so AKA grandparents, and especially if they have kids, yes, don't meddle in their business. Respect their lives. They're adults now. Respect their time with their families. Do they know what they're doing? No, they're learning like you do. But let them learn. They won't learn it either way. Another thing that does happen is on the organization of the home. Oh, this is fun. It's almost like when a couple has a child, they look at each other and say, what do we do now? No, I'm so happy that the room decorated. Come home, 5 days later, everybody leaves, just you and your husband and the baby. You're staring at each other. Well, habits will kick in, right? And our mind would go in auto mode up there. My parents said it this way, so here's what we do. And she will think the same about hers. And if you think about it, there are 3 kinds of homes sociologically. There's a closed home, an open home, and a random house. Okay, random home. So in a closed home, it runs really tight, like a fat ship, military. Up at 7, rev at 7:15, shoes on at 7:27, mom put the car in reverse at 7:30, we're out of here. You get at 6 o'clock, not 6:05, not 5:55, 6 o'clock. And no one comes over unannounced unless they have scheduled it 12 to 18 months before. Right? That's pretty tight. An open home is organized, but not that tight. Right? Kids are up by 7. Dinner's between 5:30 and 6:30. Friends can drop by unannounced, but not everybody. Then there's the random house, which is crazy. Kids sleep in whatever bed they want. You know, Mountain Dews for breakfast. No schedule, not really a budget. Things are chaotic. The family doesn't sit down and eat dinner together. Eat what you can, when you can. The TV's always on. People come by, they don't even knock, just walk right in, fix out the fridge. And what if you are a quiet person and your spouse was raised in a random house? But she could have been raised in a random house and actually likes to be quiet, so it could be fine. So you really don't know, you don't really know about each other until you have to get on. That's what I'm trying to say on this word. So what if you're an introvert, like I was, and she wasn't? So arguments will occur. It will take a while to mesh on many levels in a relationship, especially in a marriage. And when things get real busy with 1, 2, or 3 kids, 4 kids, or more in your lives, you have to be very careful that your priorities don't get completely out of order, and your friendships in your marriage will just basically be a partnership. Not the close, affectionate connection that you want. If you don't make your spouse a priority above your kids, friends, or being busy. A decade will pass, and he wasted it on other stuff. Loving your spouse as Jesus loves us, and the church is not. It is not for wannabes, right? It is not for selfish people. If you idolize your spouse because you dated or were engaged, when you first married that person, you thought, oh, she's perfect. She's perfect. No, they don't do anything wrong. They walk on water, so to speak. They won't hurt me. They haven't hurt me yet. But the Bible says in Romans 1:25 that God alone is to be worshipped, and we're not to worship any greater thing. And that would include our spouse. A theologian, I think he preached in a different sect of in a Christian church. Jonathan Edwards said, if you idolize, you will demonize. Think about that. That's why the Ten Commandments start with, there's one God, worship him alone. Or you should have no other gods before me. Because ultimately, all sin comes out of idolatry. So the danger in doing this to your spouse is that you will want them to be the perfect friend. Never leave you or forsake you. You want your spouse to encourage you when they're down, correct you when you're wrong. You want them to be Jesus. And when they aren't Jesus, you'll go from idolizing that person to demonizing that person, which means you get a little mad at them. This causes tremendous selfishness, judging your spouse, and your spouse fell way short of your expectations. So rather than loving your spouse and looking for ways that you are falling short, and by the grace of God, could you be better? You could be better friendly. I don't think that's uncommon in marriage, that people do that. Because you know your spouse over the years, very, very well. You know their strengths, you know their weaknesses, you know what to say to them. You know, if you're in an argument, you can say one phrase to make it go at them. Right? You know what buttons push, what buttons me. But you know what to say when you know you should know how to do it. So I don't think that's uncommon in marriage. I don't think in the church it is. But I think in the church it is unspoken. So what has to happen? These are recommendations I based on my life experience and what I think the Bible teaches. Your priorities will need to change. Jesus and our friendship and our love for Jesus has to be number one. Number two, our friendship with each of our spouse. Number three, our friendship with our kids. Number four, my job as a father, your job as a mother. And we are going to put our life together in a way that our schedule and our emotions actually reflects the convictions we have based on the teachings of the Bible. Easier said than done. What that means is other people are going to be really inconvenienced and really unhappy when you go home when you go from being go all the time. What you're going to find out with making those changes, saying, sorry, can't do that. Or sorry, I can't go there, sorry, the answer is no, sorry, things have changed. My wife needs me. I need her. You know, when the Bible said it's not good to be alone, it included you and your spouse. I'm going to tell you this, if you're going to make Jesus and your spouse your first priorities, other people will get angry. Other people are going to be upset. Billy mentioned this morning in class, in his lesson I did this morning about becoming a Christian. You don't lose God class. Your family might disown you. That's true. You marry somebody that's a Christian, and they taught you, or with help, they taught you, you become a Christian, and they'll say, oh, they'll leave. They'll say, no, we're done with you. The same thing's going to happen sometimes to people that you thought were friends. So instead of being that person who's always available for other people, but not your family, you can say, well, I can't call, I can't drop in, you can't text me, you know. Right now, I'm focusing on my friendship with Jesus and my spouse, and those are my first priorities. It's worth it because God's way is always the best way. How many of you have friends out there that are so busy, you don't see how they see straight? In other words, their kids are in so many activities, on weekends especially. It's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's like tournament somewhere, rodeo somewhere, whatever you don't think. It's like they came up with activities on weekends now. It's like, what's this for? They're so busy doing stuff, but they don't have to work. They don't have time to work in relationships with their spouse or with Christ. It's like those relationships take a backseat, way in the back of the bus. But if you decide to reprioritize your life, you will have more time for each other, good times, more emotion for each other, rather than just trying to figure out who's going to pick up the kids. You'll have a real conversation. You'll really focus on your friendship. What has to happen really to overcome Satan, overcome strife in your marriage, overcome your own selfishness, your own anger toward each other? I think repentance must occur. We need to be humble and confess our sins to one another. Here's a sin I committed, or here's a sin I repented of, and now I'm like Jesus, whether or not I have. Sometimes when you repent, it makes you realize that you're wrong before that. When I say this, I'm speaking from me. You can be a Christian who even has a good theology of marriage, but doesn't have a good marriage. Because for you, it's just theology and not something tangible. You could hear it, listen to it, but never apply it. And the last bit of the Bible, Revelation 12:11 says, they have conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. How do you conquer Satan in your life and your marriage? Who do you go through? Who do you go through to conquer sin? Yourself? No. Do you go through some other being in time? No. You go through Christ. Christ is also called the Lamb. And it's through his blood that our sins are forgiven. Jesus is our substitutionary sacrifice. Jesus is the one who died for sin so that you don't have to. Jesus died for your sins so you could put your sin to death, including sins of selfishness, idolatry, and bitterness, like me. It is not easy to talk about your own faults. That's the hardest thing to do, especially to your spouse. But their spouse is like a mirror. They see everything you do most of the time. Our testimony, our faith, what we believe, can never be Jesus went to the cross and died for sinners. It has to be Jesus went to the cross and died for my sins And here they are, and the blood of the Lamb literally was shed about this. For my transgressions, my guilt, to bring my forgiveness, to cleanse my shame, to remove the filth so that I would have salvation. Sometimes it's hard to visualize the Lamb being a warrior, but he is. Is your life a testimony in what God has done for you, or is your life simply a biography? What does that mean? Biography is a story about you and your wants, right? I did this, they did that, so we're stuck here. Or is your story actually God's story? I did this, they did that, Jesus died, so we have hope, we have forgiveness, we have a life, we have Christ. And I actually do it, I actually live it day to day, day by day. Sometimes it's hard to realize that all of us here go through life, and life's not easy. We have to deal with the hard stuff in life, right? The practical, the painful. If the story of your life and your marriage was concluded right now, would it be one you'd be happy to have your great-grandchildren read? Or not? If not, then get Jesus involved and keep writing that story. Some people decide to quit and give up. They think, you know what, I need a new spouse. Well, first of all, you don't need a new spouse. And don't judge your spouse, but judge yourself. Sorry, I missed that. I need a new spouse. First of all, you need to be a new spouse. Right? And don't judge your spouse, but judge yourself. And you don't need a new spouse. You need a new marriage so that you can get a new marriage with an old spouse. If Jesus changes you, and you can, and Jesus changes them, and he can, you can have a new marriage with the same spouse. Does that make sense? Now, I know I'm talking to married people or missionary, but this does apply to singles as well. For those of you who think you're single and you're hearing, oh, this sounds kind of miserable, what he's talking about, but I'll keep you single. I think if you're mature enough and you're not quick to react, you can think back and evaluate your family of origin, looking back and asking what kind of marriage relationships my parents have or not have, my grandparents have or not have. How has it positively, negatively affected me, molded me, shaped me, maybe even harmed me? Christ was a single man, wasn't he? He was single, didn't marry. He lived a full, perfect life. And singles are not less or substandard because they are single. How about that? I want to close not with just a few thoughts, but some actions. Some here may be saying, well, what should I do? What do I need to begin to build a legacy in my marriage with my spouse? And since I'm a guy, I'm going to speak directly to them. When you got married 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago or more, you took vows. You said vows to your wife to love her. But did you know what that word love really meant? Or were you just infatuated with her after beauty? Like, she's really pretty, she's really nice. What if we took vows as a husband or husband's father and fathers, something like, My church will be served by me. My wife will be loved by me. My wife will be served by me. My family will be led by me. My wife will be prayed over by me. The Bible will be open and actually used in my home, and I will lead it. And my grandchildren will worship the same God as me because my children will worship the same God as me. Some of the men here, I don't know, may have never prayed over your family or your wife. You might feel embarrassed, feel insecure. Your wife desperately needs you, wants you, longs for you to lead your family spiritually. And it starts by praying over her and inviting Jesus into your relationship. It's kind of hard to stay bitter to a woman you're praying for. You can't stay angry at a woman you're praying for. You can't stay separated very long from a woman you're praying for. And as you pray for her, if you don't know what to say, just start with something like this. I'm sorry that I don't do this all the time. I'm sorry that I don't do this for my children. But starting today, I'm going to. I challenge you to do this and to realize that God and Jesus can change your marriage if you will let them willingly. Love your wives, men. Really love them. Honor them. Cherish them. Ladies, respect your husbands. In my opinion, that is really the greatest thing they desire from God. I know this sermon was not about what it means to love a woman, but I think it was a very important subject. I know it's a subject that is vital to the church. It's vital to everyone in here. And I, as a person who's been through a lot of stuff, urge you as young couples who are obviously married, have kids, to really let Christ in your heart, not Christ in your heart, but Christ in your relationship. Don't just let it be even or him. And we got it, we're good. No. It won't last very long. It'll last, but it won't be good. And when Satan comes, knocks in the front door, it won't be fun. So I urge you to take those things to heart. And if there's any here who need prayers this church, want to become a Christian, have sinned in a way that they need prayers. And we all do. I mean, don't think that everybody in here has never sinned, but we all have. I ask you that if you have any need, that you come as a stand.
Who am I, glorious and